Right now on Upfront.
Capitol chaos.
You're seeing the messy sausage making, the process of democracy play out. It's not always clean, it's not always pretty.
A whirlwind week in Washington. Wisconsinites front and center.
This just blew up in Leader McConnell's face, and now he's trying to blame President Trump.
Republicans rejecting a bipartisan border security deal, a failed impeachment vote, the Senate still in Washington.
All this as Wisconsin lawmakers return to the Assembly and Senate floors this week for the final sprint, the push to pass bills.
So we'll see what happens, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Awaiting the state Supreme Court. Our exclusive guest this Sunday, Democratic Governor Tony Evers, Republican Senator Ron Johnson.
Then, new snapshot. The first Marquette Law School poll of 2024.
I'm going to decide that the lesser of two evils matters, or I'm going to decide that I hate one of them more than I hate the other.
The key matchups and what it all means 9 months out. Poll director Charles Franklin with the instant analysis.
This is Upfront with Jaron Jordan and political director Matt Smith.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. A lot to get to this Sunday. Senator Ron Johnson is here ahead of another chaotic week in Washington. Is he pushing to force Mitch McConnell out of leadership?
We'll ask him in just a minute. But first, lawmakers back on the floor of the State Assembly and Senate this week. It will be a marathon few weeks ahead before the end of the session as everyone awaits word from the state Supreme Court about new legislative maps.
There's a lot to get to, and we'll attempt to get to it all with Democratic Governor Tony Evers, who joins us now. Governor, welcome back to the show. Good to see you.
Great to be here.
Let's get to a lot of the issues. Let's first start with the legislative maps. Everyone awaiting word from the state Supreme Court. Responses were due earlier this week. I'm curious, what are you asking the court to do at this point?
Basically, to follow their experts' advice. Their experts said the two maps that are, in general, viewed as Republican maps, they said that they're essentially continuing the gerrymandering and that they shouldn't be followed and chosen. So I'm asking them not to utilize those. All the other four are competitive and will, and not only among each other, but frankly, they will allow more competitive races in the state of Wisconsin, fair maps. But I think mine is a perfect place to land, and I'm asking them to choose mine.
Specifically to choose yours as opposed to the other three Democratic?
Yeah. But, you know, if they kind of cobble something together or whatever, we just need to move forward. That's the bottom line. I think ours are fine.
We heard Senator LeMahieu this past week saying Republicans may consider passing your maps. Mm-hmm. If they pass them as is, absolutely no changes, would you sign that?
Well, as you know, the first thing is they have to pass them, and I have great doubts that could happen. But if my maps are approved by the legislature, of course I'd sign them.
A group gathered this past week at the Capitol, in part to put pressure on you to support the proposed Hard Rock Hotel in Kenosha. What do you need to see to support this plan?
Well, as you know, and you mentioned it, is that it's got a lot of steps to go through. It's going to take a long time. So I'm just waiting to have those steps be put into place. But you know, anytime you have something like this, you have to make sure that it's going to work. And there's all sorts of factors that go into that, whether it's the community support or other things. But at the end of the day, all those things will be taken care of before I even look at it. And so I'm not going to go out in front and say X, Y, and Z will have to happen. But at the end of the day, it's a long process. It's an important process, and we'll see if it even gets to me. I don't even know if that's the case.
Let's talk about the state's prisons, specifically Waupun and Green Bay. Have you made any more visits to the prisons?
I have within the last month, 3 weeks, something like that, and they're good visits. I mean, are things difficult? Yes, but I can tell you, as an observer of this process, hiring more people, and thanks to the legislature for allowing us to increase the pay by almost double. We're having the largest classes of correctional officers we've ever had before. They're good people. And when I was in Green Bay the last time, they were already starting to start the out of cell activities and so on. We're getting there. Waupun's a little behind the times, but with the number of people getting there.
Do you still have confidence in your Department of Corrections Secretary, Kevin Carr?
Sure, absolutely. He works hard, and it's a really, really difficult job, but he's doing the good work.
Recently, the Village of Alloway president was here on the show. Of course, that's where Green Bay Correctional is located. He was here on Upfront. I want to play a part of his comments here for you to listen to.
But I'm really concerned as village president for the safety of our community. GBCI, as I've been told, is a powder keg waiting to blow. And if things blow up inside GBCI, they're going to spill over into our community. And I don't mean to sound a big horn, but that's true. There's an opportunity for that. And I would not want to be a state leader and have that on my hands.
Of course not. I wouldn't either. I have to put it in this context, though. Is everything perfect there? Absolutely not. Are people doing the best they can under the circumstances? Absolutely, yes. I saw people outside of their cells doing some of the recreation things, some of the learning things that are going on there. But, you know, a governor coming there, you know, obviously they're not going to riot on that day, or at least. But the bottom line is that I saw good things happening. And so I don't necessarily agree with the village administrator. I know they have an interest in having that building being torn down and making it part of the Alloway area. It's a beautiful lot, I get that. But as we go forward and look at what facilities will look like, we have to make sure that we do it in a sequential way. It took us years to get kids out of, and they're still not there, out of up north and bringing them to Milwaukee and other places. Once that's empty, that is going to be a facility that we can use. So it's premature to talk about let's close this place down and find a place for 1,000 men that have committed crimes someplace in the state. We need to do it thoughtfully, and I don't think I know they have advocated for tear it down, give us sell us, we'll buy the land from the state and everything will be fine. We got to do it right.
Do you have time to wait for that?
Yeah, we can do this. Yes, the answer is yes, absolutely.
A week ago, the state Supreme Court ordered Dean Phillips to appear on the primary ballot here in April alongside President Biden. He was on the show last week and responded to something that you had said about his attempt to get on the ballot. Take a listen quick. Wisconsin's Democratic Governor Tony Evers this past week called your push to get on the ballot ridiculous.
Well, I got to tell you, Matt, for a Democratic governor to tell Americans, especially those in Wisconsin, that putting someone on a ballot is ridiculous, I don't know what else to say. There are some times where I'm at a loss for words. I think it's just shocking. Not to mention, democracy is part of our party name, and I think Governor Evers should reflect on what he just said. It is not ridiculous. What he said is ridiculous, and what the chairman did is particularly ridiculous, and it's time to wake up.
Oh, my goodness.
Should voters, though, have this decision to be able to pick who they want on the ballot?
Well, yes, but he had a month to collect signatures. How many did he collect? 0. Come on. So he decided not to take the traditional way of actually getting people to support him. We'll go to the Supreme Court instead. I'm glad he's on the thing. I don't really care one way or the other. He's not going to win. But the bottom line is he had a chance to do something, and he did nothing. That was my point. Simple as that. It's just he can say anything he wants to about me, and I frankly don't care.
I want to ask about something that we're seeing in cities and states all across the country. We've been seeing an influx of migrants arrive in cities and states all across the country. Do you have a plan if there's a plane or a bus that arrives in Wisconsin?
Sure, we're working with people in all our cities of any size to be prepared for that, so that we can take care of people. People are safe. People in the community are safe. Everybody's safe. Finding places for them to live, all that stuff, so that we can be part of the process. So yes, we're working on it. I think we have to count on our federal partners to do some really smart things, like pass a law that they just didn't pass. But at the end of the day, they will do something, and that will help us in that circumstance.
I want to end with a quick lightning round of some of the bills that lawmakers are working on over the next couple of weeks, maybe a marathon few weeks here. If lawmakers were to send you the bill that implemented ranked choice voting for congressional races, would you sign that?
I'm taking that under advisement, to be honest with you.
Okay. What do you think about this push for a constitutional amendment that would ban it in the state?
No.
No.
I mean, we can have conversations about it. I don't think it has to be banned. I just think we should be thoughtful about it, and let's see what happens.
Republicans are moving their $2.1 billion tax plan that would, of course, reduce income taxes and expand other breaks on like retirement and child care. Is there a scenario or situation where you would sign that?
I've been through all of them. I'm going to go through them again. I'm sure there's some that we would agree on. You know, for example, the child care tax credit seems like something that would work. Frankly, it's not going to do anything to help the providers of that child care. So they can give people tax credits on things that, frankly, may go belly up because we're not helping the child care organizations.
A Republican bill would require the Board of Regents, UW Board of Regents, to provide first-year students with absentee ballot applications for their home states. Would you sign that?
No, no, I would not. They're living in Wisconsin.
There's a bipartisan bill that would require political ads to disclose when artificial intelligence is used. Is that something that you support?
Yes, yes.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show, the $7 million in matching funds for the Tech Hub and the federal application. Do you support that matching coming from the state if that passes?
I sure hope we can. I haven't seen the whole bill yet, but yes, I hope I'll be in a position to support that.
You're a former education leader in Wisconsin. A GOP bill would hold students back if they miss more than 30 days of school in a year. Is that something that you support?
Absolutely not. That kind of decision is made at the local level. It's not made at the state level. We at the state level have to understand our limitations.
The special counsel report on President Biden and his handling of classified documents came out Thursday. Part of it described him as a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Do you have his faith in his ability as president?
I can only operate under what I've seen, and I've been with him many times, just recently up in Superior as we were talking a lot around what kind of infrastructure he's brought to the state, and I've never seen anything like that. And that's just me. I can't speak for other people. I can just tell you, my experience with President Biden is that's not an issue.
We got through a lot. Democratic Governor Tony Evers.
Yeah,
Governor, like always, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks
a lot. Take care.
Up next, chaos on Capitol Hill. The Senate advancing a bill to provide aid to Ukraine and Israel, but Senate Republicans instantly killing a bipartisan border deal. Senator Ron Johnson is here standing by. Is he working to oust Senator Mitch McConnell from leadership? Next.